Chosen one. Something unusual is happening in this moment, and your spirit already feels it before your mind can explain it. There are times when heaven speaks through storms, through signs, through voices around you. But sometimes the most powerful message arrives quietly, in a moment that seems ordinary until your heart suddenly pauses. That pause you felt before clicking this video was not random, it was recognition. Chosen one. This is not simply another message scrolling across your screen. This is a moment that was written before you ever arrived here. Heaven has been watching the weight you've carried, the silent questions you've asked in the night, and the strange stirring inside you that no one else seemed to understand. And now, something sacred is responding. The truth is, not every soul is prepared to hear what is about to be spoken. Some people search their entire lives for confirmation and never recognize it when it appears. But something in you was ready. As it is written in Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 3, the vision waits for its appointed time, and when the moment arrives, it speaks. Chosen one. What you are about to hear is not meant to impress you. It is meant to awaken something that has been quietly waiting inside you. So stay with this message, and if your spirit recognizes what is being spoken, consider subscribing so you never miss the moments heaven arranges for you again. Chosen one. There is something heaven wants you to understand before anything else moves forward. The moment you are standing in right now did not begin today. It did not begin when you clicked this message, and it did not begin when you first started asking God the questions that have been living in your chest. This moment began long before you had the language to describe what you were feeling. It began when heaven placed something inside you that the world could not recognize yet. And for years, you tried to understand why life felt different for you. Chosen one. You watched other people move through life with ease while you carried a strange weight inside. You tried to blend in with conversations that never truly satisfied you. You tried to pursue the same goals that everyone else seemed excited about, yet something in your spirit kept whispering that you were not built for the same rhythm. You probably remember moments like this, sitting in a room full of people, smiling, talking, doing everything you were supposed to do, yet deep inside, something felt restless. Something felt unfinished, not because your life was failing, but because your spirit was remembering something your mind had not yet discovered. And that is where many chosen ones become confused. Because when heaven plants something sacred inside a human life, it rarely announces it with applause. It often hides it. It protects it. It seals it in silence until the appointed moment arrives. Chosen one. You interpreted that silence the wrong way. You thought the quiet meant you had been forgotten. You thought the waiting meant you were being delayed. You thought the pressure inside your heart meant something was wrong with you. But heaven was never absent. Heaven was preparing. There is a reason seeds are buried before they rise. There is a reason roots grow in darkness before anyone ever sees the tree. And the same principle has been unfolding in your life. God did not place what is inside you on display. He protected it. He hid it beneath the surface of your everyday life so that no voice of doubt, no misunderstanding from others, and no premature attention could destroy it before its time. Chosen one, that is why the past years felt confusing. You sensed something greater, but you could not explain it. You felt a calling, but it had no clear shape yet. You carried a fire, but it did not know where to burn, and so you searched for signs. You looked for confirmation in little things, repeating numbers, unexpected coincidences, a line from a song, a verse that suddenly felt like it was written only for you. You kept asking, Heaven, show me. Prove to me that what I feel is real. But the truth is something deeper. Heaven was not waiting to prove anything to you. Heaven was waiting for the moment you were ready to remember what had already been placed inside you. Chosen one. The ache you have been carrying was never punishment. It was awakening. That strange discomfort you could never fully explain was the pressure of something sacred trying to rise. You were never empty. You were carrying a hidden seed, and seeds do not stay silent forever. Eventually they break the soil. Eventually they push through the darkness. Eventually they reach toward the light. That is the stage you are entering now. You may have already noticed the signs of this shift beginning in your life. Things that once satisfied you no longer feel right. Conversations that once felt normal now feel shallow. Certain environments suddenly feel heavy, even though nothing around you has technically changed. Chosen one. This is not confusion. This is recognition. Your spirit has started to wake up to something it could no longer ignore. You may have even experienced moments recently where emotion appeared out of nowhere. A quiet moment in your day suddenly filled with tears you could not explain. A sudden realization that your life is moving in a direction that feels both mysterious and unavoidable. Do not be afraid of that moment. That is the hidden seed beginning to break open. And when that happens, the human body feels it. The mind tries to analyze it. The heart struggles to describe it. But the spirit understands it immediately. Chosen one, something inside you has started to rise. This is why your sensitivity has increased. This is why you notice things others overlook. This is why certain words carry weight in your heart, now that they never carried before. You are not becoming someone new. You are remembering who you were always meant to be. The world might describe this moment with many labels. Some call it personal growth. Others call it a spiritual awakening. But heaven calls it something much simpler. Alignment. You're beginning to align with what was placed inside you long ago, and when that alignment begins, life starts rearranging itself around you. Certain doors quietly close, certain relationships shift, certain dreams begin to change shape. Not because you failed, but because the seed inside you has outgrown the soil you were planted in. Chosen one. This is why the timing of this message matters. Because the awakening that has begun inside you cannot be reversed. You have crossed the threshold where pretending no longer works. You have crossed the place where silence no longer hides the truth. Something sacred is rising, and heaven wants you to understand one thing clearly before we go further. What is happening inside you is not random. It is the beginning of a revelation that will change how you see yourself, your purpose, and the authority that has been quietly waiting within you. Chosen one. The seed has started to move, and what it is about to become will explain everything. Chosen one. Once the seed begins to move inside a life, nothing around that life remains the same. This is the stage many people misunderstand, because the outside world often looks normal, while the inside of your spirit is being completely rearranged. You wake up in the same room, walk the same streets, speak to the same people, yet something deep within you refuses to live the same way it did before. It is subtle at first, almost like a quiet shift in the atmosphere of your own heart, but it becomes impossible to ignore. What once felt acceptable suddenly feels heavy. What once distracted you no longer holds your attention. You begin to sense that certain environments, conversations, and expectations were never meant to carry the weight of what heaven placed inside you. Chosen one. This is where many people think something is wrong with them. They wonder why they feel disconnected from things that once brought comfort. They question why their spirit reacts so strongly to situations that others seem completely comfortable with. But heaven wants you to understand something important in this moment. What you are experiencing is not rejection from life. It is separation for purpose. When God plants something sacred inside a human vessel, that vessel eventually begins to recognize where it no longer belongs. You cannot continue pretending to be small once your spirit has tasted the truth of what you carry. There may have been moments recently when you felt this shift very clearly. Perhaps you were sitting with people you have known for years, yet something inside you felt strangely distant, not because you stopped caring about them, but because your soul could feel the difference between connection and alignment. Maybe you noticed yourself becoming quieter, more observant, less interested in conversations that revolve around surface things. And part of you wondered if you were becoming distant or difficult. But the deeper truth is simpler than that. Your spirit has started protecting what heaven placed inside you. Chosen one. There comes a point when the hidden seed inside a person begins to push against the limits of the life that surrounded it. The container becomes too small, the patterns become too narrow, the expectations people once placed on you begin to feel like clothes that no longer fit your spirit. This is not arrogance and it is not rebellion, it is recognition. The same God who placed purpose inside you also placed discernment inside you so that you would eventually recognize when the environment around you could no longer support the assignment ahead. And this is where the tension begins, because part of you remembers the comfort of the old life. It remembers how easy it was to move without questions, without weight, without the responsibility of carrying something sacred. But another part of you has already crossed the threshold. Once heaven begins to awaken, the deeper part of a chosen one returning to unconscious living becomes impossible. You can try to ignore it for a while. You can try to distract yourself with routine entertainment or work. But eventually the voice inside grows clearer, stronger, impossible to silence. That voice is not pressure. It is calling. Chosen one. There is a reason you have felt a strange fire under your skin lately, a quiet intensity that you cannot explain to anyone around you. At times, you may have mistaken it for anxiety. At other times, you may have blamed yourself for feeling too deeply, too intensely, too aware of things others seem blind to. But what you've been feeling is not instability, it is activation. Heaven placed something inside your spirit that was never designed to stay dormant forever. And when that sacred thing begins to awaken, it sends signals through your entire being. Your thoughts begin to change, your awareness sharpens, your heart becomes more sensitive to truth and more resistant to anything false. You begin to notice how certain words carry energy. You begin to recognize when something sounds correct on the surface but feels wrong in your spirit. That is not imagination. That is discernment beginning to operate. Chosen one, when God prepares someone for purpose, He does not simply give them knowledge. He adjusts their inner compass. He tunes their spirit so that truth becomes recognizable and deception becomes uncomfortable. That is why certain situations now feel unbearable, even though they once felt normal. Your spirit is no longer willing to cooperate with what is misaligned. And this awakening does not only affect your environment, it also changes how you see yourself. You may have spent years defining yourself through the labels others placed on you. Perhaps people called you emotional, intense, overly sensitive, difficult to understand. Maybe they could sense something different about you but did not have the language to describe it. But heaven was never concerned with those labels, because heaven was working with something deeper than personality. Chosen one. What you carry is not a personality trait. It is a spiritual assignment. This is why the journey has been so exhausting at times, because you have been carrying something sacred inside a life that was not yet ready to understand it. You tried to function normally while your spirit was holding something far greater than normal expectations could contain. And for a long time, the only place that sacred thing could live was in silence. But silence does not mean inactivity. In the hidden seasons of your life, heaven was shaping you in ways that no audience could see. Your disappointments were shaping you. Your moments of loneliness were shaping you. Even the seasons when you felt misunderstood or overlooked were part of the preparation. As it is written in Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 1, there is a season for everything under heaven. And the season you are entering now is the season where hidden preparation begins to reveal its purpose. Chosen. 1. The awakening you are experiencing is not simply about discovering who you are. It is about recognizing what has been placed within you for others. Because when heaven hides something sacred inside a life, it is never meant to remain there forever. Eventually it must flow outward. Eventually it must touch other lives. Eventually it must interrupt darkness wherever it appears. But before that happens, one final transformation must take place within you. You must stop seeing yourself as someone who is searching for purpose and begin recognizing yourself as someone who carries it. That realization changes everything. It changes how you walk into rooms. It changes how you speak. It changes how you respond to fear. Because once a chosen one realizes what they carry, shrinking becomes impossible, and that realization is closer than you think. Chosen one. There comes a moment in every sacred awakening when realization turns into responsibility. Up until now, much of what you've been experiencing has felt internal, personal, almost mysterious. You sensed the shift, you noticed the changes, you felt the pressure building within your spirit. But the stage you are entering now begins to make something very clear. What heaven placed inside you was never meant to stay hidden forever. At first, this realization can feel overwhelming. Because once a person recognizes that their life carries weight beyond themselves, the ordinary way of living no longer feels possible. You start noticing how every word you speak carries influence. Every decision you make affects more than just your own path. Even your presence begins to affect the atmosphere around you in ways you did not fully understand before. Chosen one. This is not imagination. When heaven places something sacred inside a person, that presence eventually becomes noticeable. Not always in loud or dramatic ways, but in subtle shifts that others can feel without knowing why. People may find themselves opening up to you unexpectedly. Strangers may feel comfortable sharing things they rarely say out loud. Even in silence, your presence may cause others to reflect on their own lives, and you might have already noticed this happening. You may remember moments where someone suddenly asked you for advice, even though you never presented yourself as an expert. Or times when someone felt calmer simply by sitting near you. At first, you may have dismissed those moments as coincidence, but the truth is deeper than coincidence. Chosen one. What heaven placed inside you carries influence, and influence does not always announce itself through titles or platforms. Sometimes it appears through presence alone, through the quiet authority of someone who has walked through fire and come out with clarity, through the calm strength of someone who understands pain yet refuses to let pain become their identity. But with that influence comes a new level of awareness, because the same awakening that brings clarity also reveals the battles surrounding it. Once your spirit begins aligning with purpose, you start recognizing patterns that were invisible before. You begin seeing how certain cycles repeat in families, in communities, even in entire generations. You start noticing how fear spreads, how doubt multiplies, how confusion quietly keeps people trapped in places they were never meant to stay. Chosen one. This awareness can feel heavy at first, because when you see clearly, you can no longer pretend not to see. And sometimes you may find yourself wondering why you were given the ability to recognize these things when others around you seem unaware. Why you feel compelled to question what others accept without hesitation. Why you sense responsibility in situations where others feel nothing. But heaven wants you to understand something important. You were never meant to carry awareness without purpose. The reason you see what you see is because your life was designed to interrupt certain patterns, not through force, not through argument, but through presence, through truth, and through the quiet authority that comes from alignment with heaven. Chosen one. The world often believes change happens only through loud voices and visible power. But heaven works differently. Heaven often sends transformation through people who simply refuse to participate in the old cycles anymore. Through people who live with a clarity that exposes confusion without even trying. That is part of what is awakening inside you. And this is where courage becomes necessary. Because once you begin living from that place of alignment, some people will not understand the change. They may say you have become distant. They may accuse you of thinking differently than before. They may even try to pull you back toward the version of yourself that felt more comfortable to them. But that version of you was never meant to last forever. Chosen one growth always disrupts expectations. When a person begins walking in alignment with what heaven placed inside them, certain relationships shift naturally. Not because love disappears, but because purpose rearranges priorities. You may still care deeply for people, yet recognize that your paths are no longer moving in the same direction. This realization can bring a mixture of emotions. Gratitude for the past, sadness for what is changing, and anticipation for what lies ahead. All of these feelings are part of the transformation. They are signs that something within you has matured beyond the old patterns. But here is the deeper truth that heaven wants you to remember. You were never meant to carry this awakening alone. Even though the journey often begins in solitude, it doesn't end there. As you continue walking in alignment, new connections begin appearing in ways you cannot force or predict. Conversations begin happening with people who understand the language of purpose. Opportunities begin unfolding that match the direction your spirit has been moving toward. Chosen one. This is how divine alignment works. When your inner life begins to match the assignment placed upon it, the external world slowly rearranges to support that alignment. Doors open that once felt sealed. Resources appear that once felt unreachable. Guidance arrives through unexpected conversations, ideas, and moments of clarity, not because life suddenly becomes easy, but because heaven begins coordinating what once felt random. And yet, even as these changes begin unfolding, one final transformation still waits ahead. Because purpose is not only about awareness, purpose is also about authority. Chosen one, there is a level of authority that does not come from status, education, or recognition. It comes from alignment between what heaven has spoken and what a person is willing to embody. It grows when someone stops asking permission to live according to truth. And that is the stage you are approaching now. The moment when the voice inside you becomes stronger than the doubts around you. The moment when clarity begins guiding your steps more than fear ever did. The moment when the hidden seed finally begins growing into something visible. And when that happens, something remarkable begins unfolding. because the world may not recognize immediately what heaven has awakened in you. But heaven already does. Chosen one. The moment heaven recognizes what it has awakened inside a person, a different kind of life begins to unfold. This is the stage where awareness turns into embodiment. Up until now, you have been discovering, noticing, and slowly understanding what has been happening within your spirit. But the next stage asks something deeper from you. It asks you to live from what you now know. And this is where many chosen ones feel the greatest tension. Because knowledge is one thing, but embodiment is another. It is one thing to recognize that something sacred has been placed inside you. It is another thing entirely to walk through your life as someone who truly believes that. That shift requires courage, not the loud kind that people celebrate, but the quiet courage of choosing truth, even when it would be easier to remain unnoticed. Chosen one. You may have already felt the beginning of this tension. Moments when your spirit wanted to speak, but part of you hesitated. Situations where you sensed the right thing to say, the right decision to make, the right direction to take, yet the old habit of caution whispered that it might be safer to stay silent. These are the crossroads where purpose is tested, because what heaven awakens must eventually be expressed. There will be moments when you feel the weight of what you carry pressing gently against your heart, asking to move through you. Sometimes it will come through words that bring clarity into a confusing situation. Sometimes it will come through decisions that break old patterns in your life. Sometimes it will appear through your simple refusal to participate in cycles that once felt unavoidable. Chosen. One authority often looks like quiet obedience. The world imagines authority as power displayed outwardly, but heaven recognizes authority in the person who remains aligned even when no one is watching, the one who refuses to compromise what they now know to be true, the one who chooses integrity even when convenience offers an easier path. This is the stage where the hidden seed becomes a living presence within your life. You begin noticing that your reactions change. Situations that once triggered fear or insecurity now meet a calmer response within you. Challenges that once overwhelmed you now reveal opportunities for growth and wisdom. It is not because life suddenly becomes easy. It is because something inside you has matured beyond the place where those obstacles once held power. Chosen. 1. The authority growing within you does not come from perfection. It comes from alignment. It comes from the countless moments when you chose to keep walking forward, even when the path ahead felt uncertain. Every time you continued believing during a season of silence, your spirit was being strengthened. Every time you held on to truth when circumstances tried to convince you otherwise, your foundation was becoming stronger. And that foundation now begins to support something greater. You may notice that your presence carries a different kind of steadiness, not because you have all the answers, but because your spirit has learned to trust the one who placed the calling inside you. This trust becomes visible in the way you move through life. You stop chasing validation. You stop explaining yourself to every voice that questions your direction. You become quieter in some ways, yet stronger in others. Chosen one. This is how true authority grows. It grows in the quiet moments when you decide to remain faithful to what heaven revealed inside you. It grows when you resist the temptation to return to old versions of yourself that felt more comfortable but less aligned. It grows each time you choose clarity over confusion, purpose over distraction, truth over approval. And the remarkable thing about this stage is that others begin to notice the change. Not because you're trying to prove anything, but because alignment naturally produces presence. People may find themselves drawn to the calm strength you carry. They may sense a steadiness in you that feels rare in a world often driven by noise and uncertainty. Some may not understand it fully, yet they will recognize that something about your life feels anchored. Chosen one, that anchoring comes from knowing who placed the seed inside you. It comes from understanding that your life is not random. The challenges you faced were not wasted. The seasons when you felt hidden were not meaningless. Every part of your journey contributed to the formation of the person you are becoming now. And this realization begins dissolving the fear that once held you back. Because when a person understands that heaven has been guiding their path all along, they stop worrying about whether they are capable. They begin focusing on whether they are willing to walk forward, willing to trust the unfolding path, willing to allow the sacred thing within them to continue growing beyond familiar boundaries. Chosen. One willingness is the doorway through which purpose becomes reality. It is not about having every detail figured out. It's about saying yes to the next step that your spirit recognizes as true. Sometimes that step will feel small, a conversation, a decision, a quiet change in direction. But heaven often works through small steps that gradually reveal a much larger picture. And as those steps continue unfolding, something powerful happens. The life that once felt uncertain begins forming a new pattern. You start seeing how events connect. You begin recognizing how moments that once seemed random were actually preparing you for where you stand now. The delays, the detours, the unexpected changes all begin to make sense in ways they never did before. Chosen one. This clarity is not the end of your journey. It is the beginning of a new level of responsibility and influence, because the seed that heaven planted inside you was never meant to grow only for your own understanding. Its purpose extends beyond your personal awakening. It was placed within you so that your life could become a living reminder to others that purpose still exists, that truth still matters, and that alignment with heaven still changes everything. And that realization leads directly into the final truth heaven wants you to understand. Chosen one. The final truth heaven wants you to understand is this. The moment you recognize what has been placed inside you, your life stops being only about survival and begins becoming about impact. For a long time, your journey felt like endurance. You were learning how to carry pain, how to move forward through confusion, how to keep faith during seasons when nothing seemed to change. Many of those years felt like you were simply trying to stay standing while life pushed against you from every direction. But now you are beginning to see the deeper reason behind those seasons. You were never only surviving, you were being formed. Every moment that stretched your patience was shaping endurance inside you. Every disappointment that forced you to search deeper was strengthening your spiritual foundation. Even the silence that once made you feel abandoned was actually training your spirit to recognize the quiet voice of heaven rather than the noise of the world. None of those experiences were wasted. They were chiseling away the parts of you that could not carry the assignment ahead. Chosen one heaven never places a sacred seed inside a life without also preparing that life to sustain it. The preparation does not always feel glorious. Sometimes it looks like long seasons where you question everything. Sometimes it looks like doors closing without explanation. Sometimes it looks like learning to stand alone when others walk away. But those very moments create the strength required to walk with authority later. And now that strength has begun to reveal itself, you may notice that situations which once intimidated you no longer carry the same power. Challenges that once caused you to retreat now meet a steadier response within you. Even when uncertainty appears, something inside your spirit remains calm, as if a deeper voice is reminding you that the path ahead has already been seen by heaven. Chosen one, that calm is not accidental. It is the quiet confidence that grows when a person realizes their life is guided by something greater than circumstance. As it is written in Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 3, the vision waits for its appointed time, and it speaks when the moment arrives. What you are experiencing now is the beginning of that appointed moment speaking through your life. This does not mean everything ahead will be simple. Purpose rarely unfolds without resistance. There will still be moments when the old doubts attempt to return. There will still be voices around you that question the direction your life is taking. But the difference now is that those voices no longer define you. You have seen enough of heaven's hand in your journey to know that the path unfolding before you carries meaning. Chosen one. The authority growing within you is not about control over others. It is about alignment within yourself. It is about living in such a way that your actions reflect the truth you have discovered. When you move from that place, even ordinary moments begin to carry influence. A conversation becomes a moment of clarity for someone else. A decision becomes an example of courage for someone who felt trapped. Your life begins to speak without needing to prove anything. And this is where the prophecy that has been unfolding throughout your journey becomes visible. The sentence that heaven whispered into your spirit was never meant to remain hidden inside you. It was meant to move through you. Through the way you live, through the wisdom you share, through the compassion that has grown inside you because of everything you endured. Your life itself becomes the message. Chosen one. People may not always understand the process that shaped you, but they will recognize the peace that now surrounds you. They will sense the clarity that guides your decisions. They will see the difference between someone who is searching and someone who has begun walking in purpose. And when they ask what changed, the answer will not be complicated. You remembered what heaven placed inside you. You stopped waiting for permission from the world and started listening to the quiet authority within your spirit. You accepted that your life carries a calling that cannot be measured by ordinary expectations. And once you accepted that truth, everything else began aligning around it. Chosen one. This is the moment where the prophecy finds its face, not in a dramatic announcement, not in applause or recognition, but in the quiet certainty that your life is now moving in the direction it was always meant to go. The seed that was hidden has begun to grow. The silence that once confused you has turned into clarity. The fire you once questioned has become the strength guiding your path. From this point forward, the journey continues, but you will walk it differently. You will walk with awareness that heaven has already been guiding every step. You will walk with courage that comes from knowing the seed inside you cannot be taken away. You will walk with peace that comes from alignment rather than approval. Chosen one. The message you heard at the beginning was never just a sentence. It was an awakening. And now that you recognize it, the truth will continue speaking through every chapter of your life, because the prophecy that began as a whisper has now become something living within you. Chosen one. Before you leave this moment, take a quiet breath and let what you have heard settle deep within your spirit. This was not simply a message that passed across your screen. This was a reminder of something heaven placed inside you long ago, something that is now beginning to rise with clarity and purpose. You are not walking through life unnoticed. The path unfolding before you has been seen by heaven, prepared through seasons you did not always understand, and guided by a wisdom greater than circumstance. What once felt hidden is beginning to reveal itself. What once felt like waiting is becoming alignment. So walk forward with awareness. Chosen one, stay faithful to the quiet truth that has awakened inside you. Protect the peace that heaven has planted in your heart and trust that every step taken in alignment will lead exactly where it is meant to go. If this message confirmed something your spirit has been sensing, you may write Amen in the comments as a quiet declaration of faith. And if you feel led to continue this journey of awakening, you may subscribe so you do not miss the next message that heaven may place along your path. Until we meet again, chosen one, walk in clarity, walk in courage, and remember that what God has begun within you will not return to silence.